good evening. Welcome to Tiebreak. We are doing Tiebreak in English only for this week. So I'm going to be your host only for these 3 days for the English version. Dario will be coming back next week. No worries. Okay, so we have a very special guest today. She is from abroad, just like me. And I'll be introducing you to her just in a few seconds, right after our theme song. And our partners, this is our partners. And we have Intuition, Starfit, and Starfit. And here we go. Okay. Hi, Hillary.
Hi, Miriam. Thank you so much for having me. It is a pleasure to be here tonight.
Thank you. I'm so excited to do this in English.
Yes.
What do you think?
First of all, my compliments for your English. I mean, how did your English get so good?
Well, thank you. I'm from Mexico, so I grew up at the border, and I went to school in the United States. So
that's the secret.
That's the trick. Yes. I'm not from Italy, so.
There's been a lot of studies that demonstrate that if you start learning a second language when you're young, you can master the pronunciation pretty easily. If you start learning a language as an adult, you can master the grammar, but your pronunciation always remains, foreign. You always have an accent, which is what happens when I speak Italian, decidedly.
For me, it's the same. But yeah, so practically at home, they spoke to me in Spanish and in school in English. So
you're trilingual now.
Yes. Well, you too. No.
Well, yeah, I suppose. I've got English, Italian, and Calabrese.
Calabrese, right.
Exactly.
So Hillary, tell us, where are you from exactly?
So I'm originally from Connecticut, or as Italians would say, Connecticut, in the US. I grew up there. I went to university there. And then after graduation, I moved to Italy. It was a dream of mine to move here.
Okay. So you graduated and then came here?
Exactly. I studied Italian. So at university, I studied linguistics, and I studied Latin and Italian. And part of my studies for Italian were to study abroad. So I actually did a summer in Siena. I did a summer at the University of Bologna doing research with Professor Scalise on compound words. And I fell in love with the city. I said, Bologna is my dream city. So after graduation, I didn't have a job. I didn't have an apartment. I didn't have a permesso di soggiorno. I just moved to Italy with the dream.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yep. And I didn't even have a husband. I didn't have a boyfriend. I was single. So a lot of people, they say, oh, you moved to Italy for love. And I say, yes, for love of Italy.
For love of Italy. Wow.
Exactly.
Wow. Congratulations. It takes a lot of courage, right?
Yes, but I mean, I've always decided to live my life with no regrets. I'd rather take a risk, jump, fail, than play it safe and never try. It's always better to live that way.
Of course. I like that. I like your attitude.
Thank you.
Would say. And what did you major on?
So when I was at university, I majored in linguistics. And linguistics is the scientific study of language. So whenever I say I studied linguistics, people say, oh, how many languages do you speak? And that's like asking a doctor, oh, you're a doctor? How many diseases have you had? Like, it has nothing to do with it. Linguistics is the scientific study of languages. So we look at syntax, we look at the grammar of various languages. We look at morphology, so like declensions, conjugations, inflections. We look at semantics, how meaning is constructed. We look at phonology, the grammar of sounds. We look at phonetics, which is the physics of sounds. We look at historical linguistics, how languages are connected historically and how they diverged and how they have common roots. We look at sociolinguistics, how the choices you make reflect your social identity, your class, your gender, your socioeconomic status. I mean, it's a social science. It's a scientific approach taking data from the humanities. And I'm obsessed with linguistics.
Wow.
And when I went back to school, I got my master's in applied linguistics and I studied second language acquisition. So how do we learn foreign languages, especially as adults?
As adults.
Yes.
You majored on that here in Italy, right?
No, I got my bachelor's in linguistics from Yale in Connecticut, and then I went back to the US.
Okay, you went
and
back.
I got my master's in applied linguistics from Pittsburgh.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was an incredible experience. I was very lucky because when I was at Pittsburgh, I was also teaching at the university. So as I was studying the science underlying how we acquire a second language, I was able to teach students, university students, and kind of put everything into practice. So it was very exciting because it's one thing to learn theory, but it's not so useful, if you can't try it out and see what works and verify the efficacy. So no, it was an incredible experience. I loved working at the University of Pittsburgh. And even Roberto, my husband, when I was there, he came to visit and he was enrolled too. He did an intensive English program and he had a great experience.
Wow. So then you did your master's in the US and then you came back to Italy.
Exactly. I came back to Italy. Roberto and I got married and I've been here ever since. Yeah, I came back in 2014. So I've been here for 7 years now.
Okay. And then you started, tell us a bit about Intuition.
Yeah, so Intuition, I was actually a teacher at Intuition right after university, before my master's. And I loved teaching in companies. But when I was doing it, I had so many questions. I thought to myself, like, if a student asks what a word means, is it better to give the definition in English or just to translate it into Italian? And I was wondering, at what point do people stop translating in their head and start thinking in a foreign language? So that's what actually encouraged me to go back and get my master's. And when I came back to Italy, I had this dream of having my own English school. And I kept in touch with the former owner of Intuition. And he told me, Hillary, I want to move back to Australia. Do you know anyone who would be interested in taking over Intuition? And we were in the right place at the right time.
Of course.
Exactly. Yeah.
Wow.
So, I mean, we've been very fortunate. The last few years, I mean, with COVID, that has been a huge challenge, but we're adapting, we're trying new solutions, we're innovating, and it's very rewarding.
Yeah, of course. Are you, I imagine you're doing courses online and stuff?
Exactly. About, I would say, 90% of our courses are online right now, on Zoom or other platforms. And yeah, I mean, it's different. I think
it's not the same.
No, I mean, online courses, I think they're definitely gaining traction and they will replace to a large extent in-person, face-to-face courses. However, Italy is a culture and a country that really values relationships and human contact,
Of course.
And I think that although there will be fewer face-to-face lessons in the future, I don't think they'll disappear altogether.
No, I agree. It's not the same.
Exactly. I mean, we can even think about Convergo, where when everything's online, we just can't wait to go back and see each other in person.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
And in Intuition, then you have different type of customers. So tell us about your services, like for companies.
Absolutely. So we help companies and professionals from all sectors and all types. We do language courses, we do translating, interpreting, consultation. So basically, my mission, our goal is, I imagine a world where employees, anyone really, or entrepreneurs, they are no longer blocked by languages. They can expand to new markets, they can speak with anyone, simply because they know the foreign languages they need to. So, that's my dream
Yeah.
world. And that's what we try to enable. And how do we do that? We do that with courses where the focus is not on having perfect pronunciation or perfect grammar, or being a native speaker. Our goal
Sure.
is effective communication, and I think that
Yes.
when you do that, it really makes a huge difference. And Italy is a fantastic market in terms of the potential, because a lot in the schools, they teach using a lot of older techniques. The pen
Yeah.
is on the table, the book is on the table, the
Of
cat is on
course.
the table, which great. I mean, you can memorize
When
sentences, but
sure.
that's not going
It's
to help us
useless. No.
communicate.
No.
Exactly. Exactly. So I kind of take the communicative approaches that I've studied, that I've used in the US, and we have our teachers use those here in Italy.
Okay.
But another thing that's really important. So before, I was telling you how when I was at the University of Pittsburgh, Roberto came and he studied there too.
Okay.
Roberto was the most popular student in the whole school.
Really?
Obviously, because he's handsome and he's funny and he's smart, but also because he's Italian.
Okay.
Everyone loves Italians. Like
yeah.
the Arab students loved him, the Japanese students, even the Mexican, Spanish,
Yeah.
German, everyone loves Italians. It's incredible.
That's true. That's true. They're seen, the whole world has a very good perspective about them. Yes.
Exactly.
About
So
Italy.
no, it's true. And I
Yeah.
think like one of the advantages of this is you shouldn't try to speak English as if you're American, as if you're British. I think Italians should be speaking and
As,
letting their Italian identity be evident. Like, in fact, in the US, like in my school of training, we don't even use the word accent. We say pronunciation, because accent
okay.
can be offensive, I mean,
Yes. Like I have a Mexican Spanish accent when I speak Italian, and it's never going to go away.
exactly. And you know what? Why should it? That's who
Why?
you are.
Yeah.
That's part of your identity. So like, why would we want to change that?
Exactly.
Yeah. And I mean, of course, when we talk about sociolinguistics and your identity and how that changes how you speak and how people see you, there are certain accents that are a little bit less prestigious than others, But the
Yes.
Italian accent, speaking English, is just, it's the best. So
Yeah.
that doesn't mean that we shouldn't try to use intelligible pronunciation. It's very important that the person we're speaking to understands us. But at the same time, like, there's no need to speak 100% perfectly. I mean,
No,
if you
I
hear
agree.
me speak Italian, literally, it's very clear that I'm not Italian. And you know what? I'm not ashamed. Why should I be?
No, I know. I agree. I totally agree. I think one of the most important things is to lose the fear of not speaking it perfectly. That's key.
Exactly. And that's actually another topic I wanted to mention, which I think is so important when you're making progress in any foreign language, but English, for example. And that concept is risk taking. Because
Mm-hmm.
in Italy, I've discovered there is a tendency to want to master perfect grammar. I don't want to make any mistakes, so I'm only going to say the things that I know I can say correctly.
Sure.
But that you're really limiting your production, because maybe you only know how to use a certain number of tenses, limited vocabulary. When you integrate risk taking, when you try to say something new, either with paraphrasing, oh, the thing that you use for that other thing, that's fine.
It's a start. It's a start.
Exactly. And risk taking has literally been demonstrated to be one of the factors that determines your success in speaking a foreign language. So if you're willing to take risks, then you will definitely make more progress compared to someone who's very precise.
I agree. Of course. I think because Italians are very detailed and very good at doing that's why the Italian quality is famous all over the world.
Absolutely.
But it
No,
maybe applied to languages, they just need to loosen up.
Exactly, because there's this kind of tension between accuracy and fluency. And at this point, there are trade-offs. It's really hard to be extremely accurate and extremely fluent at the same time. But we always, at Intuition, we try to push more towards fluency, because that is what helps you to be an effective communicator.
Yeah.
If you're able to get your point across, even if you make a couple mistakes, That's fine. I mean, you're going to build more rapport with the person, and you're going to be a much more effective communicator compared to someone who's very, very precise, but who's not saying what they need to say, who's not building the rapport with the interlocutor.
Yes, I agree. Hey, Fabrizio from Convergo says, love that Italy has a great potential as a market, meaning no one speaks English.
So when we think of, for example, Northern Europe, like Scandinavia, their English is fantastic. I mean, they grow up learning English in school way earlier. In Italy, we don't really have that, and I think some of that could be due to the fact that in a lot of places in Italy, people speak their local dialect, or they speak a regional variety, il dialetto. So for them, they learn, okay, so the language I need to focus on is Italian, let's not make mistakes. Let's not speak dialect. Let's speak Italian. So English kind of becomes a second priority, It's
Maybe
hard to
also
concentrate.
what do you think about the level of English in local schools?
I mean, I think in recent years, things have definitely improved compared to 20, 30 years ago. And a lot of it depends on the teachers. But at the same time, there is so much room for improvement. I mean, a lot of teachers, they're not risk takers themselves. They're kind of afraid to teach things that they don't feel comfortable with. So they'll be like, oh, okay, leggiamo questo testo e traduciamo. No. If you're in the English classroom, you should only speak English from day one.
Sure.
In fact, that's how I learned Italian at university. Even on the first day, the teacher only spoke Italian.
Okay.
My Prof Matteo. And that's kind of what inspired me. So it's something that really sticks with you.
Wow. And okay, I'll try to. I'm getting the hang of this being the host.
Oh, you're doing great, Miriam.
And okay, what else can you tell us about yourself?
I mean, I'm passionate about everything I do, and
do you go back often to the U.S.?
Not as often as I would like to. The last time I went was actually Christmas of 2019. So I haven't seen my family in about a year and a half.
Okay.
But I know we'll go for Christmas this year. Hopefully we'll be vaccinated and we'll be able to travel. But it's incredible though. Whenever I go to the US, I feel like it used to be, okay, the US is my home, and then I go to Italy. Now, when I'm in the US, I feel like an outsider. I'm like, okay, I need to go back to Italy. Take me back home. Can you imagine?
This is your home now. I know. Well, I'm not at that point yet because for me, both of them are my homes right now.
Well, how long have you been in Italy, Miriam?
Since 2009.
Oh, okay. So more or less the same. I mean, I moved here in 2010, but.
Okay. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so more or less we got here at the same time then. I don't know. You see?
That's incredible.
Yeah, you to Bologna and me to Piacenza.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And what made you decide to move to Italy?
Because I was working for an American company in Mexico City that I was living in Mexico City that then decided to open up a branch here in Italy.
Okay.
And the shareholders the company had the offices here in Piacenza, so then that's why.
So they transferred you here basically to maintain your current job. Wow, that's incredible.
They transferred me here to start the company with them from here.
Wow. And how has your experience been of living in Italy? Do you love it?
Yes, I do. I honestly do. I mean, I love it being here. I do sometimes miss my family and friends, but my life is here now and my work is here. And so I know it's tough, like thinking about going back. There is no going back.
No, for me, it doesn't exist. Like, my parents they still dream. They're like, Hillary, come back to the US. And when I was getting my master's, that was kind of like my trial to see, okay, I've lived in Italy, I'm back in the US, where do I prefer? the whole time I was getting my master's, I couldn't wait to go back to Italy. So
You see.
yeah, no, it's an incredible country to live in. And I think the best way to summarize it is something that Italy offers that the US doesn't, and that is equilibrium. There's a real balance between work and the rest of your life, you know?
Yes.
I've kind of discovered that in the US, people live to work. There's an obsession. You have to answer your phone 24/7, you know, always be available, always be chat.
Yes,
Basically,
no, I agree.
yeah.
I
And
agree.
in Italy, we work to live. The quality of life, it's more balanced, you know?
Yes,
So
I agree. And the
yes.
food.
The wine.
The wine, all the places, the beaches. I mean, there's a lot of stuff.
Oh,
right?
absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much, Hillary, for
My
joining me
pleasure, Miriam.
today.
Thank you for having me and for letting me talk your ear off. And thank you to everyone who's been watching. Dario, Matteo,
Dario,
Fabrizio.
you have
Thank you
to
so
speak
much,
English.
Hillary and Miriam. Fantastic time. I understand everything, so incredible. But this because my teacher is Hillary Schepps, and so
You're used to my
She's
pronunciation.
an amazing teacher. She's an amazing teacher.
If you want
Thank you, guys.
to learn English, to speak English, go to Intuition. So, bye. Fantastic. I found a very important person. So I finish my time now. The time of Miriam for tie break in English forever.
No. No, it's okay. It's all yours, Tyra.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, guys. Have a lovely evening.
You too. Thank you, Hillary. Bye-bye.